Hey, welcome back. So the rules are clear and not clear, but the part that they're clear about is that they will initiate the battle if they can win assault, and it's guaranteed. Here's the problem that's tricky, okay, and here's why. So these units are not garrisoned. So if I'm asking myself the question, can they win an assault? I can choose to meet them in the field of battle. What's going to happen, and I know I haven't shown you this part yet, but what's going to happen is that this guy is going to do half damage, so he'll kill one raider. This guy does a full damage, and he'll kill 2 raiders. So 3 of the raiders would die, and there would only be 2 raiders left. The 2 raiders that are left will not win against either stronghold, period. 2 is not enough, so you're going to look at it here. 2 doesn't beat anything, okay? The way you read this is these little gray numbers. If there's 0 extra units inside of a fort, you need 4. If you had 3 of them, you can take a hill fort. And then a town, you can see you need 5 to take a town. Now, they have 5. That's enough to take a fort or a town. But like I said, if I meet them in the field of battle, I can whittle them down, but the problem is my troops die too. The other thing I can do is I can choose to withdraw them. So for example, I can do something like this, or I can even do something like that. Now, if I do something like that, then these 5 are guaranteed to win against the fort, because we already looked that up, right? 4 will win against the fort, and they have 5. Now, if I do this, with 1 in each one, the number just went up to 1 on the fort. They now need 7. And then with the town, they need 7. So by withdrawing like we did, we prevent them from winning if they were to do an assault. So the rules say that they will only battle if they can assault, per this chart. It says attackers assault only whenever able to remove a stronghold. So they're able to remove a stronghold, but they aren't able to remove it with our troops there. Does that make sense? So, so I'm going to say that they're not going to battle. And it doesn't matter what our scenario. The only scenario where they could battle us and destroy a stronghold is if I was stupid enough to do this. And I left that fort by itself. Then they could assault that fort, and a number of them will die, but they would be able to eventually destroy the fort. The thing is I would never be that stupid. So I'm going to say that they're not going to battle because there's no guarantee they can win. Does that make sense? And I know it seems like a lot, but the more you play, the more this is going to become intuitive to you. But some of these calculations you're going to be doing all night, which is why I said that playing the AI bots is like, I feel like sometimes I've gone to work all day. I don't dislike the AI bots, but they can be cumbersome like this. So I'm going to say that this turn is over. Now we still have 1 more to do. So let's roll. Oh my gosh, I rolled a 1, 2, 3. These literally 3 1s. And then the patrol killed them. 1, 2, 3. So they didn't even land. So those guys, that was an awful raid for them there. Okay, so we really didn't do a battle yet. And so just to warn you, there's going to be a long teaching session there. But for now, we move on. I at least showed you enough to look at whether or not a stronghold can be defeated. I just didn't tell you how the battles play out and exactly how they get defeated. So green is done. Now we move. I'm sorry, black is done too. That was this one. I just forgot to move them. Okay, so they did their second faction. So here's the problem with letting them be together. One does the event, the other one gets a full action with a feat. at least up here, they would get a full action, but they wouldn't get the feat. So it's sometimes not good to keep them together like this, but the turn 2 is over. So we take the event, which they actually played, and it goes away. And then this is the new card. Like we said, it's a fantastic card, but not necessarily great for us at this point. So we're probably not gonna do the event. And then here's the next card coming up. There you can see green is just playing a fantastic game so far, and it's a wonderful card for them. And it says flip 1 patrolled marker to no patrol. To flip no patrol marker to patrolled, a barbarian may free raid now, once. Flip 1 patrolled marker to no patrol, to flip 1 no patrol marker to patrolled. Doesn't even make sense. Flip 1 patrolled marker to no patrol, to flip 1 no patrol marker to patrolled. Oh, I see. I think you're just flip-flopping 2 markers. A barbarian may free raid now. Why would the Scotty like that? They have no patrol on all their spots. And then for us, once each Duke march or intercept, Duke troops may move from one coastal space to another. Oh. I've never seen this one before. That's a pretty nice one for the Duke. It's good to be the Duke. Okay, so that's the next round. Unfortunately, here's our situation. We are here and these guys are ineligible. So we could choose to pass, right? And if we choose to pass, then these guys would become eligible, and then all 4 of us are back up there again. And looking at this, you're gonna see green gets to go first, and they will go first because they have the little shieldy thing, and they'll probably play the event again. So I don't think there's a chance that the Duke is gonna get this. So we might as well play. And red goes first, and then blue goes second. And we're gonna do this. Oh, that's actually the event path. Never mind. This is getting interesting. So we're looking at this situation. If I do this, I'm playing the event, and then somebody gets to do a full command and action. Or I can do a full command and action, but then the next player gets the event or a limited command. So the problem is red goes first. He does have a lot to do, and he can do it, and he can probably do it quite well. So he does want to go. The question is going to be blue. Does blue want to do another limited event or limited command, or maybe they just want to do this event even though it doesn't help them super much? Train and muster does do double militia. Next recovery, remove to the available number of cavalry. I mean, it's sort of nice, but it's only going to last until the end of the epoch. Blue could pass, which sounds fantastic, except blue goes last. And so they won't even get to go next turn. So let's just do red first, and we'll worry about blue in a second. Okay, so red, I already can tell you what we're going to do. We are going to, there's so many player aids here. We're going to intercept. It costs 2 resources per move origin space. We do have to mine, so we are at 8 resources right now, so we do have to be careful. But our cities are very heavily defended, and remember the AI rules are the cities never get raided. So I have 5 cavalry here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to intercept, and it costs me 2 per origin space. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to pay $2. Blues money, of course. So I just paid 2 of blues money, and I'm going to have an origin space of here. And 3 cavalry are going to go here to intercept those raiders. And then these 2 cavalry are going to go here. You know, I don't even need to bring 2 cavalry there. Don't even need to bring any cavalry there, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going to actually just leave these. Now, the intercept action requires you to move where there's raiders. So I can't move these somewhere else just to set up defenses, but I'm actually going to just leave them where they are. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move all of them here. We're just going to put the whole pile there because you pay from an origin space. So then if I need to raid somewhere else, I can just pay once and move them from there. So it doesn't pay to have them spread over everywhere. And then what we're going to do, oh, you know what? One of them is going to go here because that's the only way we can intercept this. Unless I want to pay $2 more to make this an origin, it's the only way I can intercept this location. Because you have to intercept, you don't get to do the battle until where you end your movement. Okay, so then I can also do an invite or retaliate. The invite, like I said, lets me get Federati. The retaliate is along with intercept or battle if it's a 1 battle space with an enemy stronghold. Okay, there is no enemy stronghold except for way up there. So I don't get to do invite or retaliate. So this is really one of those situations where I didn't need a full command. This actually could have been done with a limited command. That's how crazy this is. But, well, maybe not because I moved to 2. Look, never mind. Let's just do this. All right, so now we're going to do what's called the battle step. And I can do this real quickly in my head, but I need to take you step by step here. First thing we're going to do is raiders are going to evade. They're in their home terrain. We're going to resolve this location first. So we're going to roll, and they rolled a 3. This time they failed the evade check. Okay, so good for us. All right, so we made it through pre-battle. Nothing else is happening here. Field battle. Okay, so there is no trap. That's only done by event cards, and that doesn't exist. Defenders may withdraw into friendly strongholds. They don't have any to withdraw to, so they don't get to do that. That's actually what we did when we withdrew into that stronghold in that one. We did a withdrawal. So now we're going to do a charge. So surviving cavalry and all ambushing units strike and apply losses. Now, everything in this game is simultaneous. However, the charge happens before the melee. So I get to kill them, and they do not get to kill me until they get to this step. And they have to survive this step to get to that step. So the charge is like a free kill step, if you want to think of it that way. Everything's simultaneous, but the enemy does not get to charge, only cavalry charge. So we simultaneously resolve a lopsided, I'm doing damage to you, you're not doing any damage to me. But then when we get to melee, they get to do damage to me. And just so, in case you're wondering, somewhere up here it says that you only get to strike once per field battle. So if I did a charge with my cavalry, I don't get to attack again with the cavalry here. And then there's a harass, which once again is a event card thing. So then after we do all this, after this is over and everybody on the field is either dead or removed, if I want to, I can then assault a stronghold or whatever, which is what the barbarians were considering doing. So we're only going to resolve the field battle part, but they are toast. Let's just put it that way. So I'm going to do my assault, and I have 2 cavalry here. They each kill two units, and you can see there's only 2 units there. Now, how do I know that? This little table. The cavalry in field battle kills 1 unit. The militia kills a half unit. And then this is their home terrain. And you can see that the Civitatis, their home terrain has the asterisk. It's only whenever they play their pivotal event. And then you can see the Saxons and the Scotty have, like the Raiders, are half strength. And then when you get into the strongholds, they have a defense that's natural because of their units that are inside of them. And so they actually have garrisoned units inside of them. So you can see here that the town has 2 garrison units automatically inside of it. And you can see the 2 cities are actually super powerful. And then the holding capacity is how many units you can withdraw into those towns and cities. So when we went into the fort, we could have withdrawn both of our units into the fort if we wanted. Or, we actually did 1 in each. So the charge, like I said, each of these did 1 damage, and these are both half damage units, so both of these units die. And they just go back into the pool for the Saxons. So then we go to battle consequences, right? Unless the enemy is civitatis before blah, blah, blah. Each fort or town destroyed lowers prestige by 2. Each stronghold destroyed, attacker takes 2 plunder. The Duke gained 1 prestige. If a barbarian faction lost fewer pieces than the enemy, and it survived, it gets 1 renown. If the executing faction kills enemies with plunder, it may either take half and put it amongst its own units. However, if you're Britain, you return 1 prosperity to space, you gain, or if barbarians in a space, you gain 1 renown for each. Now, I know it doesn't list it here. I don't know why. The Duke are not allowed to take plunder. It's part of their chivalry code. So 1 of these plunder, though, can be returned back to the town. And then the other one is actually lost. So you put it back in the cup. It's not out of the game. It's not back in the box out of the game. It's just off the board. Okay, so we return 1 prosperity to the space. Place 2 from off. Holy cow, why is that not here? So there's a rule that the Duke have to return the prosperity. They are not allowed to keep it. So they have to do the second half here. And then there's a rule that says if the cavalry was involved and they killed all the enemies without taking any damage, here we go. If cavalry fought and its side lost fewer pieces than the enemy, add +1 prestige. Right there. If the cavalry fought and its side lost more, it loses a prestige. So we go up 1 in prestige, is what I was trying to say. So this prestige goes up to 5, and then this, I'm going to actually move up twice because that went up by 1, because we returned 1. So we got some of our points back. We actually scored a point, and then we got a prosperity back. So hopefully you're starting to see how the Duke player can really get his points. And then just looking ahead now to this other spot, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 units get killed. I'm going to go ahead and return 1 prosperity. These 2 leave the box. And we just killed the whole lot of these. All right, so they're all dead. And we once again, prosperity is going up by 1. I just moved that off camera. And then the prestige goes up by 1. And our score goes up by 2. So that is the Duke's turn. Okay, so now we go to blue. And blue's got to decide, are we going to pass, which gives them 3 resources, which isn't the end of the world. Or they can do a limited command, or the event, which we already talked about the event, so we don't really care for that. So when we look at the blue player, the trade is an awesome one, but with a limited command, you only get to collect from one location. You want to collect from every location. So that way you get 15 resources. If you do from one location, you're only going to get 2 resources, which is pointless. You might as well pass. Muster is sort of okay. Now, one interesting one is battle, because we have some green troops up there from the Scotty, but we don't have enough troops to win. Those war bands are full strength units. They're just as strong as the cavalry. They just can't charge. So those green units up there are going to obliterate that militia, which was only a half strength unit. So that Scotty settlement is very powerful. We could march, which then moves pieces around to try to help certain areas. It's okay, because what we could do is, see, we have 4 units here. We can move 2 of them to protect this unprotected region, and or we can move to here, the swamp, which only has 1 unit, or even all the way down there, which was going to get raided, but we got lucky. The march is not the worst thing in the world, because that was the whole idea. We put all these units here, and then we were going to move them later. Blue is getting the shaft right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do an action, because I think this is better than actually passing. And yes, we're going to go defend this territory with 2 units. And that does cost us 2 resources. So we now dropped to 4. So you can see how quickly that money just burns. All right, we're at the end of the turn. Our turns are always going to be quicker than the AI. And so we are now ineligible, and they move up. This card exits. This one is now in the game. And there you can see the limited assets is going to go into play. And then this is the next one that we would get to see. Lower a faction's renown by 10 to a minimum of 5. That's a nice one for endgame. It's really powerful against the Irish, the Scotty. But select a town where there's a Saxon warband, remove that town and add 1 refugee marker to the Civitati's available box. There is no Saxon warband, so this is not useful for them. So we're safe. Well, actually, they're not going to get to see that one anyways, but moving their renown by 10 to a minimum of 5. The Scotty are at 6 right now, and the Saxons are at 4. So neither of them are at 10. Okay, so let me think this through. We're going to do the AI against this. I don't have to worry about this until it's my turn. So let's start looking at the AI chart. So I can tell you with certainty, maybe it's too early to just start skipping, but they don't have plunder to return. They have an effective event, and they're going to use it. Okay? So the next thing I want to talk about is this. You can see these events have numbers on them. This one is a 60, so I think it's on the other side. So the 60 Mariners by Sea, you can see there's no writing for green, or actually for anybody. So there's no explanation there. The other option I have is I'm going to go look at the playbook, not the rule book. in the back of the playbook, they list every event and what it does. So I'm going to look at 60 here. The shaded event basically allows the executing faction to shift a single patrol from one sea to another. There must be at least one patrolled sea for this event to take place. The playing faction, once the patrol markers have been adjusted, designates one barbarian faction, possibly itself, to immediately undertake a free raid. May raid its maximum number of spaces with its maximum number of D4 each, but with no associated feat, even if not eligible. Okay, so the reason green likes this is because they get to do a free raid, basically. So what they get to do is they're going to get to... They flip one from patrol to no patrol and flip another from... So basically they're swapping where the patrols are. And so they're going to be able to help the Saxons out, but they're going to hurt themselves. I can tell you with certainty that green very rarely raids from this side. So we're going to flip that one to patrolled, and that hardly even hurts them. So then it becomes a question of where do the Saxons want to raid? And I can tell you that they probably prefer the region that has swamp. Or we can randomly decide this, right? We can do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the prosperity tends to be greater in the southern part, so we could do that. But the Saxons need to take land. So it's my opinion that this is the superior choice. So we'll flip that to no control. So they just helped the Saxons out a ton. They really didn't hurt themselves. And what's even crazier is they did the event, but they still get to do a free raid. So let's go look at their raid and resolve that. Now, like they said, a free raid means that they don't have to pay resources and they get to do a maximum raid possible. So the raid itself is here. They don't get to do a feat, so they're not going to do a surprise or a ransom. Okay? This, by the way, is how they make a lot of their money. The raid for the Scotty is different than the Saxons. The first thing is, number one, we skip. That's an event that hasn't happened yet. Number two, they're going to do the 2d4 raiders at the least subtraction. And what that means is where there's no patrol, right? And then they're going to roll a die to see where they end up. And then this is an A-B priority. If the raid's above or free for 0 renown, they're going to only do a 1d4. Otherwise, they do the 2d4 if it's free, which is what they're going to do in this situation. At least subtraction. Yeah, 2d4. Trying to decide why is number 2 and number 3 separate. Like, what's even the difference? If raid's above or free for 0 renown, 1d4, 2d4 free, at least subtraction, at most prosperity into hills. That makes the most sense. Here, if roll 2d4 raiders, at least subtraction, target up to rolled number of regions with 2d4. First, where the Scotty are already there adjacent, 2 plus priority. I don't know what raids above mean. Roll 2d4 raiders. Okay. So what I'm hung up on is the number 2 and number 3. Because the priorities are different. You see that? This one has a different priority for where they're going to raid versus this one. Why am I getting hung up on this? I must be tired. Well, you do them in number order, but why would I never do this one? I guess if I'm out of money, then I would come down here. If raid's above or free. So I'm going to call this a free raid. And we're going to do number 3 here. Although I'm telling you, I think we should be doing this one. Okay, we're going to do number 2. So they get to do, and here's what's crazy. So this gave you the AI of what their priorities are, but you still have to go look at this to see what actually the raid does. See here, you can see that they raid up to 4 spaces without Scotty control and adjacent to Oceanus Septerinalis. Or within 1 space of a Scotty settlement with a Scotty warband. Select spaces, pay 0 for 1d4 raiders or 1 for 2d4. If from Caledonia, less number of Corvetti or Textaverdi forts. Oh, I forgot to explain that rule. In fact, there's a couple rules I forgot. Okay, a couple of things. The first one is the raiders for Scotty can raid from Caledonia here. So they can, that's a land-based raid. So they would be going, you know, into Votadini or Novite. And so when they do that type of raid, they don't get killed by patrols. What they get killed by are these forts that are there. And so there's 3 of those. So as you can tell, everybody starts with a penalty of 3 if they're trying to raid from that kind of fashion. But the other thing is they now have the ability to raid from a settlement. So they can actually raid here without coming through there. I mean, they're starting at the settlement. And then the third thing I forgot is that this British control here goes away. They have 2 war bands. Oh, let me think about this. Normally, if they have 2 and you have 1, they outnumber you, so they get control. But we still have a fort here, and I think the fort might be what's saving us. I think they have to destroy our fort first. And there is somewhere on a cheat sheet, and I know this, that explains how control works, and it's very simple. It's not that hard. I'm just trying to find it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Control is not a difficult concept. I'm just forgetting the primary. Here we go. Before fragmentation, friendly control means Britain. Nope. That's not it. Oh, darn it. I'm going to have to look up what control is. It doesn't hurt us per se, but if the Scotty are in control of this region, then what's going to happen is this is going to move down by 1. And then we have to put a Scotty control marker there. But I think that because they each have a stronghold, what's going to happen here is, oh, I I think the situation here is that there's no control at all because it's contested. And so the British control still moves down by 1. I'm feeling a little more confident that that's the right way to handle this. And so then control would be established once somebody has a stronghold and nobody else does. So at this point, there is no control. It's an uncontrolled region because there are more troops from them than there are for us. I will look that up next time I take a break between videos. I don't want to, unless the rule book has a nice table of contents here. Let me check real quick. Of course it doesn't. Okay, I'm really glad I looked in the rules. First thing I forgot to do, and I thought of it, but remember when this population was ravaged? What happens is a refugee marker shows up and it's available for the civitatis. They can actually use those refugees and place them somewhere else so they can increase the population by 1. So the net population may not necessarily change, but they could actually move the population out of the swampland and maybe somewhere else that's a little bit more easy to control. This section in the front is actually, I think, where control is defined. If I can just simply find it, right here, in fact. Faction controls region if it has a stronghold there and its troop and stronghold pieces, not raiders, outnumber those of all other factions combined. Raiders never count. Faction controls a city if it has a stronghold there. And then British cooperation just means they get to add their stuff. So actually what happened there is it's not about the stronghold being removed. The Scotties actually control that region. So they get 1 point for their control. Very impressive. Okay, so okay, back to this dang raid. Okay, so they get to raid 4 regions. If raid's above or free for 0 and Okay, so we're going to pick 4 regions, and it looks like we have to roll a die. So here's for region 1. So I rolled a 1, and it's going to target up to rolled number of regions with 2d4. First, we're Scotty already there or adjacent. Okay, so that makes it simple. So let me just roll 4 times and let's see what we get. Here's 2. That's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 5. Okay, so 5 and 6 are going to target where there's 2 or more prosperity. But the first roll is targeting where Scotty is already there or adjacent. Okay, now the first thing they want to target by priority is enemy control or at the highest difference in population minus enemy troops. So let's resolve this first one. You can see there's a Scotty, but the Scotty are in control. So they want to raid where the enemy controls. So there's only 2 places. They can raid here or this little territory that's just underneath the camera there. And they want to raid where the highest difference in population minus troops. So let's back out a little bit. So here the population is 2 minus 4 is minus 2, right? And then here the population is only 1 minus 3. So that's also minus 2. So they're both equal priority. I can tell you that the cavalry is going to be a lot harder, but that's not a factor that they're asking us to consider. So oh, I see. So this is where the number 3 kicks in. So we have a choice between those two regions, right? So where Scotty's already at or adjacent. So we did A and B, right? But we still have multiple territories to choose from. I think that's where the 3 comes in. So now we're going to choose whoever has the most prosperity and into hills. They're both in the hills, but this one has the most prosperity. So we're going to do the big attack there. And then the other ones are going to just target areas that have 2+ prosperity. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be next to a civilization, okay? And they're going to avoid this ocean that's this way because we have patrols there, and they're going to just go along this. And we're going to have to use that dang random table thing because there's so many to choose from. They all have 2+ prosperity. Well, actually, this one doesn't. So let's think about this. 2+ prosperity. Yeah, they're not necessarily going. Okay. So we got 3 more to go because they get to do 4. That's crazy. Okay, so this one has 2+ prosperity. This one has 2 prosperity. No, it does not. Well, technically it does. It's just you're only going to be able to raid one of it because the population is only a 1. Yeah, I think that's the issue here. But they can raid this one that has 2. And then for the last one, we're going to have to randomly roll against these areas that only have 1 prosperity available to plunder. So let's go ahead and roll our dice. I rolled a 4 and a 1. So Regni is the first. Nope, not available. Duro Trije. I am so butchering these names. Oh, where are you at? Oh, we're already rating that one. Domoni. This one should be in the hills. So that should be the, yep, okay. This one is going to be there. Yeah, and I apologize. I know these videos are taking long and these turns are taking long, but that's coin. This is one of the reasons why I think I've been avoiding playing this game for you guys. But I'm actually at a bit of a drought where I don't have any Kickstarters coming and I haven't been buying anything new. So it's a good time to do this. Okay, so got a lot going on, but understand now though, they only roll a 2d4, whereas the Saxons roll a 3d4. So we're gonna do Votadini first, and this is 4. Now, the other thing to understand is that they don't get anybody killed, right? So they all actually land. And then, so we took those and we're gonna plunder 2 pieces. All right, so total prosperity is going down by 2, and then the score goes down by 2. Just doing that off camera. Don't forget to do that. Now, if you ever get stuck and you're like, hey, did I remember to subtract prosperity or not? Which is a very Jeff thing to do, by the way. Remember, we tightly counted how many of these were in the game, and there were 10. 2, 4, 6, 8. There were 10 that, so there was 90 total, right? And so I have 3 out of the game. And then there's 2 more that we just plundered, so that's 5. So we started at 80, and I should be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that's how I can very easily verify if my prosperity numbers are correct. Now, your prestige and other things you're going to have to be a little more diligent about, but it's a very slick way to make sure you're double checking your numbers and dealing with your faulty memory. Okay, so there's only 4 of them, and these are very weak forts compared to the other ones. But let's take a quick look. So the hill fort, we have 4 units, by the way. So we're going to be able to retreat 2 units into the hill fort. It requires 7 raiders. So they definitely don't have enough to do a battle. So they're just going to plunder there too and sit tight. Okay, so that one's done. At some point, when you get some of this memorized, you can fly through these a little bit quicker than what I've been doing. Okay, so this here, oh my gosh, that's 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And make sure you're grabbing the pie pieces. Don't grab the full cubes, because those are war bands, and they're gonna pillage 2. So the prosperity goes down by 2, and the overall score goes down by 2, which is now 79. Okay. So you can see how the barbarians, their job is to prevent the, especially red, from winning. And by raiding and plundering all these areas, they're definitely effective at it. They don't have enough to assault the fort, so we're gonna leave that go as well. So now we're going to these next 2, which might actually have enough to assault a fort. We're gonna do this one first. And that one only gets 3. So that's not going to be enough. Okay, so there's 3 of them, and 2 plunder was taken. I have to drop prosperity by 2 and score by 2. Okay, they only have 3. That's not enough to take a town. So this one's done. And then the last one's, oh my gosh, that's 8. That was 8. Oh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now they only get to plunder 1 because it's a crappy town, but I think they're gonna be able to assault. So you're gonna see a full battle here. So let's do the full battle. I think 8 should be enough to defeat a town with 1 garrison, and they need 7. So yes, they will be able to do it. So let's show you a full battle. All right, first thing they're gonna do is a field battle. Now, we only have 1 unit, and it's a militia. Militias, if they were to do melee, they would kill one of them, and then one of them would kill. So we would simultaneously each kill 1 unit. That would be an awful play, So we're gonna do before the battle step. We're going to. Oh, hold on a second. They may roll. Raiders may roll a d6 to ambush in home terrain. All raiders in each space roll together. Okay, so what does ambush do? Let me think about this. Oh, right here. That's the charge step. So they can may roll a d6 to ambush in home terrain. So on a 5 or a 6, they get to ambush us. Ooh. So let's figure that out. They rolled a 5. So they were able to ambush us. So that means our militia died without getting a chance to withdraw. This is not good. So this unit died. It didn't get a chance to withdraw into the town. So the town's going to be less defended now. And the unit didn't get to fight back because remember, this step is before the melee step. All right, so now we do the assault. There is no coup de main, which is something that's done with surprise. Surprise, just as a reminder, is one of the feats that you get to do here. Okay, so we skipped that. The coup de main is like you basically snuck into town and completely caught them with their pants down. So first thing we do is we escalate. And so defenders, including the garrison, strike. Each unit inflicts losses equal to the escalade defense. And it doesn't matter if you're cavalry anymore. You're at the mercy of the defense of whatever you're inside of. And then apply the losses. Important attacking raiders are halved for absorbing losses. So during this step, the Duke may have one attacking cavalry absorb double loss. Usually 2 losses to remove, perhaps preventing any removal. But then the first unit removed must be that cavalry. Okay, so, but the first thing is defenders are doing the defense. That's the first thing we got to do. The cavalry, what they're saying is if the cavalry are attacking, the cavalry can choose to do a double loss, which means that you need to give 2 points of damage to kill just 1 cavalry. Normally you only need 1. But this one is like the cavalry's being all brave, and so during the attack of the fort or the town, if you don't have enough strength to do 2 points of damage, you're not going to kill anything. So that's like a really nice trick that you can do if you have cavalry. But if you do apply enough losses, the cavalry has to be the first unit that dies. So it's brave, it's really nice, but be careful. And if you have cavalry dying too much, you lose prestige. Okay, so there are no cavalry attacking us, so don't worry about that. The thing that we're doing is we're doing the escalade defense, and they don't get to do anything. We're attacking them. So we are in a town, okay? And our town has an escalade defense of just a half, which is unfortunate. However, we do have 2 garrisoned units. We would have had a third if we would have, been able to retreat that person. So the 2 garrison units each get to kill 1 raider, right? Because we did 1 half damage each, and each raider is only worth a half damage. So we killed 2 of the raiders. They're out. Okay, so now we do storm. So now they're storming the walls. All units on both sides, including stronghold garrisons, strike, each inflicting 1-for-1 loss. It doesn't matter who you are. There's no more halving, no more defense factor. It's just 1 unit kills 1 unit. And the stronghold garrison units absorb the losses first. Then the withdrawn pieces are next. So all it's saying is if I would have been able to withdraw that 1 unit, we would kill the garrison units first, who, by the way, replenish immediately as soon as the action's over. But we're going to lose this town. So it's the Stray Cats. We're going to lose this town. We're going to lose it inside out. We're going to make them scream and shout. So the garrison units is 2, so we're going to kill 2. But these same 2 units killed the 2 garrison units. And so the town is destroyed and it's removed from the map. And as you can see, they had 4 raiders left alive. And you get to pick who dies, and of course you're never going to pick the one that has the loot. That one will be the last raider to die, of course. So now we go to battle consequences. And there's no cavalry, so we don't have to worry about that. Each fort or town destroyed, we lower prestige by 2. So by them raiding and destroying that town, the Duke, loses 2 prestige. So they just lost 2 points. So now you can see how the barbarians are really annoying. And I think you can also see why this is sort of fun to play as a human, these barbarians. All I can tell you is that the AI is just not good. So we're doing all these crazy things to the AI and they're just not able to punch back. Okay, each stronghold destroyed, attacker places 2 plunder, 3 if town from off the map onto the units. That's an extremely important part. It's from off the map. That's where those 10 extra off-map things come from. And if it's a barbarian faction and they lost fewer pieces than the enemy and survived, it gains a renown. That is not true. They lost more pieces than we did. We lost 1, they lost 4 or whatever. Okay. So they get to take, because they destroyed a town, they get to take 3 plunder from off the map. So this particular location still has 1 prosperity on the board, but they get 3 from off map. Now that doesn't affect our score at all. Let me think here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so I did the score properly. See, I already just thought I maybe screwed it up. Okay, so those 3 that come from the off map, they don't affect our score at all. Now, one other thing that happens is since we no longer have a stronghold, our control goes away. And when I say it goes away, it's truly uncontrolled. And it's funny because the rule is finally kicking in for me and I'm starting to remember it. So we lower the British control over here by 1. And remember, the amount you lower it by is the population. The British, the Civitatis, they care about population. That's important to them. The Duke, it's all about prestige and other things. Okay, so that's uncontrolled. Now you might be saying, well, hey, there's raiders there. Is that not Scotty controlled? The answer is no. It has to have war bands. And more importantly, I think it needs to also have a stronghold. So that's the only way they can take control. So right now it's an uncontrolled region. Okay. We're at 58 minutes. And that was only the Scotty turn. So then we go to the Saxons. And so they're next. And the event was brutal. That free raid that they got to do was bad. Normally they don't get to raid with rolling 2 dice because it costs them money. And they choose not to spend money because money is how they want to win. But in this case, that was definitely what happened. All right, so the Saxons, they have no raiders on the board. We killed them all. There is no event. Are they first or second on the next card? No. They can't settle. There's no war bands. They're raiding, okay? So this is the one nice thing. This is why I was suggesting if you're going to do AI bots, do the barbarians. Because 9 out of 10 times, they're just raiding. They're raiding, or they're returning, or they're playing the event. And you can sort of, you can memorize those a little easier than, like the AI for the other 2 is a bit more involved. Okay, so they're raiding, and they're going to roll 3d4. I'm looking. They only have 4 money. So they're going to roll 3d4 at a... Sorry, give me a second. There is an option for them to pass, other than just this. Oh, right here. They would pass if they don't have the ability to spend money. Okay, so they're raiding. I know we're supposed to roll a die here, but there is no event for them to play. The event is not effective, and they're not doing any of these things. They're doing raid. So we need to roll dice. So what do I have? I have 3 dice here. I would swear I have a 4th one. Where's the blue? Here it is. Okay, their raids are how many regions? Maximum of 3. So I'll just put 1 die aside. So we're going to roll for all 3 of the raids. I got 2 4s and a 2. And that means all 3 of them are going to go where the highest difference in population minus enemy troops. All 3 of them. Now, here's the next problem. They don't have enough money. So they have 1. Yeah, they don't have enough money. So let's go back and redo this. They're going to have to roll 1d4. And here's why I'm bringing this up. Remember, they're not like the Scotty. The Scotty can raid for free. They have to spend 1 renown or 2. Okay? So it costs them 1 for 1d4 raiders or 2 for 3d4. So they can do 1d4 raiders at no raider subtraction, because there is a spot that has no patrols now. So this is actually a very viable option for them. If we did have patrols, we would have skipped this, and they actually would have passed to take some money, which is an interesting thing, because that means that they won't be both going at the same turn anymore. But because of the no patrols thing, they can do this one, and they will. So they're going to spend $3. 1, 2, 3. I mean, they could theoretically spend $2 on 1. So we'll go ahead and do that. They spent everything. So one of them is going to be a full raid, and the other ones are going to be a 1d4 raid. So let's do the 1d4 ones first. They have to be here, and it says that they're going to raid anywhere that's in the swamp that has at least 1 prosperity. So this is where we do the random thing, and we're going to be picking 2. So I rolled a 5 and a 4. So let's grab... So remember, these are the swamps here. So if we're starting here and we're going zing, 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 Kintiachi is first, which of course is a slaughterfest for us. And then it's zing, 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 Curiel Tavi is next. And that's this one. Now there's one strategy that the AI doesn't do for barbarians that you need to do if you're playing multiplayer. And that is, you want to raid here. And why is that? If you raid here and you take away the control, these roads get cut off. So all those troops that were here, if you remember, I was able to move them all the way down here to annihilate the crap out of them. If they would have raided here and made me lose control of this region, then I would not have been able to move those troops down because that road would have been off limits. I can only move along roads that I have control. So that's a big mistake the AI makes. I understand why they didn't want to complicate it any more than it already is. But it's also why the AI cheats, right? Because that makes up for some of this stuff. Okay, so these are both going to be the 1d4 raids. And then I'm going to use this red marker for the 2d4. And then we also have to figure out where they're going to ravage. So lots to do. AI is takes longer than your turn, for sure. Okay, so where's the big raid going to be? So if I'm looking at the AI chart here, it says where least subtraction, and then highest difference in population minus enemy troops. So we already know this is a +1, and nowhere else is. And it said highest subtraction, which means we're not going to go down here. So this is the big raid there. And then the ravage is going to go where prosperity is greater than population, or if none, at one enemy control space. So where's prosperity greater than population? Well, that's clearly 1, 2, 3, all 4. Well, there's only 3. We have to ravage somewhere where we're already going. So one of these 3 is going to be it. So we're going to go ahead and roll. And I rolled a 3 and a 3. So 3 and 3 puts us on Iceni, which is right here. So we're going to go ahead and ravage that. Okay, so I think it was 1d4. It's actually 2d4, I think. Nope, 1d4 or 3d4. Holy cow. Okay, so we'll do this one for 1d4. And I rolled a 3. Now, you could roll for everybody and just get all your raiders on and then determine to resolve the battles after. But I do remember from Board Game Geek, you can actually run out of these pieces because there could be so many raiders on the board that you run out. And so the designer did say that technically speaking, you're supposed to resolve them completely one at a time. So whoever gets killed from this space gets returned, so that way you can use those pieces to raid the next space. Because remember, you're component limited. So if there's not enough raiders to raid spaces, then nobody shows up. But anybody who dies from this space, if you resolve it, then those pieces are available to do the next raid. So it's a rare situation, but it does happen. Okay, so we got 3 there, and I'm going to roll for this other one. I rolled a 3, and they're benefiting greatly from not having patrols. And then let's roll for the last one. 4, 8, 10. Oh my gosh, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. All right, so let's plunder first. So there's 2 here. There's 2 here. And there's going to be only 1 here because the population was reduced. See, when they ravaged it and the population went down, they only get to loot as many as there is population. So they only looted 1. So that's 2, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the score for red. And look, it's way below the winning. So the raiders are doing their job. And nobody's winning as a result. Okay, so now let's go through one at a time and figure out if battles are going to happen. Hell no there. Hell no there. So this one is heck yes. So we're going to do that. And then what's funny is they're going to be ravaging it too, which here's what's interesting. If it's with a raid, only if the Civitatis victory is at -2 or better, and it is. They're actually still technically winning. And so what they'd be doing is they'd be lowering the population again. However, there's going to be a battle. So that's to take more plunder. And they're going to do that at most enemy pieces. So let's look up Ravage real quick and make sure we got it all figured out. The plunder may exceed the population. So after plunder, roll 1d6. If 4 to 6, the population is -1. Oh, I see. So you can just plunder everything if you do that. So we could take all 4 because we have enough units to do that. Or with raid, but only if oh, I'm sorry. This is only if you did a battle action. See? Battle? Right there. So we're doing it with a raid. And it says you only ravage if they have a score of -2 or better. Which, like I said, their score is actually pretty good. Otherwise, you would skip this entirely and then go down and do a surprise. My apologies. I'm just, I guess, tired. So this one is definitely going to be the population thing. So let's go ahead and roll the die and hope we don't get a big number here. And they got a 6. So the population thing's happening again. So this population gets reduced to 1, which means that the British control here gets reduced by 1. And that's why they were doing that. And then another refugee shows up. Now the refugees go away at the end of the epoch. So we're going to have to do something about those refugees, probably the next turn. And, okay, now let's resolve the attack. So we get out the battle thing again, and we're going to see if they're going to ambush in home terrain. It is home terrain for them. So we're going to roll, see if they ambush. They rolled a 1, so they're not ambushing. So we're going to retreat into our castle. We're not going to meet them on the field. They're going to obliterate us, but let's just keep going. First thing that happens is the escalade. So this is a hill fort. It's only got a half defense. Now, if we ever get the Camelot event, it actually becomes a 1 and becomes pretty darn good. But right now it's only a half, and it only has 1 garrison. And then we have 1 unit there. So we have 2 units there, so we kill 2 of their units. Okay, so 2 of them die. And then it becomes the storm. And this garrison has 1, and this is 1. So we kill 2 more. But everything gets wiped. All right, so we lose. So now for each fort, it's not a fort, it's a hill fort. So don't get that confused. Fort means these little red things. Okay, so they don't lose prestige for that. Each stronghold destroyed, attacker places 2 plunder, 3 if it's a town. So this is considered a stronghold for certain. And so we take 2 from off the map. 2 more plunder here. Like so. Okay, and then nothing else is happening. The barbarians definitely lost more pieces than we did. So I know that was exhausting, but their turn is over. So we come over here. These become eligible. These become ineligible. This goes off. This is going to be our card for our turn. And then we get a new card, which is St. Patricius. Nobody's clamoring to use this one. All ransom rolls are -1, which is helpful to the British. And then all ransom rolls are +1, which is helpful to the Irish. Which is funny, because I think if I was playing a multiplayer game, I would actually go after this one. Because the ransom is how you get extra money. So you do a raid, and instead of assaulting the stronghold, you ransom the people. And then you roll a die to see if you get extra money. And that money goes straight into your renown, but you need to get all the way up to here to win. Obviously getting an extra +1 to your die roll. This is until the end of the game. This is a fantastic card for the barbarians, who will get to go, by the way. But here you could see there is no, they're not prioritizing at all. And the Saxons don't want it ever. So this is an interesting one. I don't know if anybody will end up taking it. All right, so I'm at 1:16. I got to end this. I may be done for the night. I got to check the time. But I'm having fun. It's a long game. And as usual, I'm getting more tired because there's so many calculations you have to do and things of that nature. But this, I don't know how this compares to like Fire in the Lake or some of the other coin games. I've never played the Revolutionary game single player with the bots. I have played it once multiplayer. I don't remember it. It's been so long. I bought a copy because I remember I had fun, but I don't remember it, and I'd have to get out the rules and figure it all out again. Anyways, I don't mean to do a full review or anything crazy like that, but I do find this game fun. And like I said, the thing about this one I like is that you got all these economy things going on, and the way these 4 factions interact with each other, I think are super cool. I love the way the barbarians ruin your day. The barbarians each have different goals, which seems, obscure at first, but it actually starts to make sense the more you play. The British, both the Duke and the Civitatis, they seem like they have differing goals, but really they're at war and odds with each other as well. But if they don't cooperate, then the barbarians are going to win. And this is what makes this game so interesting to me. And when you play solitaire the way I'm doing it, and you're playing both the British factions, the Romans, I'm counting the Romans as British, it does give you a bit of an edge, because the barbarians are going to run rampant on you, and you can at least coordinate with yourself. This is almost like tower defense. I think that's why I like this. I like tower defense games. But anyways, thanks for watching. Stay awesome.